These characters can rest easy knowing they died for the greater good. Hey guys, I'm Rebecca and welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most heroic deaths in movies. That means we're looking at movie characters who died performing one final valiant act of courage. As is to be expected, a huge spoiler alert is now in effect. All right, let's get to the list. Number 10, Captain John H. Miller, Saving Private Ryan.
I've saved the lives of 10 times that many, doesn't it? Maybe even 20, right?
Tasked with finding Private James Ryan and returning him home following the deaths of his 3 brothers, Captain John Miller leads a group of soldiers across war-torn France. After overcoming several deadly obstacles, Miller finds Ryan, but the private refuses to leave his station at a strategically important bridge. Despite having little manpower, Miller agrees to take command and defend the bridge. They are able to hold off the Germans long enough for reinforcements to arrive, but Miller is tragically killed in the process. His intervention helps keep Ryan alive, however, and ensures his return home.
James, earn this.
Number 9, Nux, Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Nux is one of several war boys who joins in the pursuit of Imperator Furiosa at the start of the film, and he attempts to destroy the rig multiple times. Distraught by his failure, he's comforted by Capable, one of Joe's multiple wives. Nux then experiences a change of heart and begins assisting Furiosa and Max. Things look bleak for our heroes near the end of the film as Joe closes in on them, until Nux decides to sacrifice himself.
Come on! Hurry! We're nearly at the pass!
By crashing the rig, Nux not only kills Joe's son, he also blocks the canyon, allowing for Max, Furiosa, and the wives to escape back to the Citadel. Number 8, Bing Bong, Inside Out.
Don't you get it, Joy? We're stuck down here. We're forgotten.
Whether you want to admit it or not, it's highly likely that the majority of people watching this video had an imaginary friend as a child. For Riley, that friend was Bing Bong. As Riley grew older, however, she began to forget about her pink fluffy friend, and as such, joy and sadness find him drifting around in long-term memory. After a failed attempt to return to headquarters, Joy and Bing Bong find themselves stuck in the memory dump, where they try to use Bing Bong's old wagon rocket to escape. Realizing their combined weight is too heavy and valuing Riley's happiness over his own, Bing Bong sacrifices himself to allow Joy to escape in one of the most heartbreaking scenes Pixar has ever given us.
Take her to the moon for me, okay?
Number 7, Spock, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
He's dead already.
It's too late.
Just when the crew of the Enterprise thinks they've defeated Khan, he activates the Genesis device with the intent of killing the entire crew. Refusing to allow his friends to die, Spock goes into the engine room to fix the warp drive to allow the ship to escape, despite the fact that he would be exposed to lethal radiation. He even uses the Vulcan nerve pinch to get past McCoy, who attempts to stop him. Spock's efforts allow the Enterprise to escape the explosion, but not before he has one last emotional moment with Kirk.
Live long and prosper.
Number 6, Jyn Erso and Company, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
My father's revenge. He built a flaw in the Death Star. He put a fuse in the middle of your machine, and I've just told the entire galaxy how to light it.
Sticking with the theme of sacrifice for the greater good, we come to Jyn Erso. A young rebel, Jyn teams up with Cassian, Chirrut, Baze, and K2SO to steal the plans for the Death Star. The group arrives at the Imperial base on Scarif, with each character sacrificing themselves to allow Jyn and Cassian to steal the plans. At the last second, Jyn is able to transmit the plans to the Rebel command ship before the base is destroyed by the Death Star, killing both of them. Their actions, however, allow for the Rebels' inspiring victory in A New Hope.
What is it they've sent us? hope.
Number 5. William Wallace, Braveheart. Perhaps the most gruesome death to make our list, William Wallace truly dies a hero, but he suffers for it. After witnessing the suffering of his Scottish people, Wallace leads an uprising against the English, winning several battles. He is eventually betrayed, however, and brought to England, where he's tried for high treason and sentenced to death. Well, that is torture and then death. Wallace is hanged, drawn, and quartered, but refuses to give in, shouting one last epic cry before finally being decapitated. Number 4. Severus Snape, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
You've been a good and faithful servant, Severus. But only I can live.
For nearly the entire series, Severus Snape is seen as a villain. He constantly antagonizes Harry and even kills Dumbledore. It isn't until the final film that we discover Snape's true intentions. After being mortally wounded by Voldemort, Snape gives Harry his memories.
You've been raising him like a pig for slaughter.
Don't tell me now that you've grown to care for the boy.
From these, Harry discovers that Snape loved Lily, Harry's mother. Devastated and feeling responsible over her death, Snape worked alongside Dumbledore to protect Harry and only killed the headmaster as an act of mercy. Harry also learns that he is a Horcrux and as such needs to die in order to defeat Voldemort, a vital piece of information.
So when the time comes, the boy must die.
Number 3. Tony Stark, Avengers Endgame.
Tell me this is it. If I tell you what happens, it won't happen.
His death marked the end of an era. The first Iron Man movie kicked off the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Robert Downey Jr. reprised his role as Tony Stark in a further 8 films before his swan song in Endgame. More than any other character, he was the glue that held the franchise together. So his death scene in Endgame was emotional to say the least. Making the ultimate sacrifice, Tony used the Infinity Stones to reverse Thanos' devastating snap. He went out knowing that he'd saved his friends and family, and could finally rest.
You can rest now.
Number 2. Logan,
Take your friends and run. They'll keep coming and coming. You don't have to fight anymore.
The X-Men films have had several heroic deaths over the years, including Jean Grey sacrificing herself at the end of X2. Jump forward into the future as we see an older Wolverine coming to terms with the fact that his adamantium skeleton is poisoning him. With few allies left, Logan reluctantly agrees to help Laura, a young mutant with similar powers. They're tracked down by X-24, a feral clone of Logan. The two engage in a vicious and bloody fight before Logan is impaled on the branches of a tree. Laura uses Logan's adamantium bullet to kill X-24. Without Logan's assistance and sacrifice, however, there's no way Laura and the other child mutants would have been able to escape.
This list is giving me all the feels. If I have to watch Snape die one more time... Actually, you know what? Bing Bong might be the worst for me. Anyway, obviously there's something we picked that was even worse, so before we check out whose death was the most heroic, let's check out some very honorable mentions.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Boromir, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
It is a strange fate that we should suffer so much fear and doubt, and for so small a thing.
A strong and noble man, even Boromir was overcome by the temptation of the One Ring, attempting to take it from Frodo to use it as a weapon against Sauron. Boromir redeems himself, however, by protecting Merry and Pippin against a horde of Uruk-hai. Single-handedly taking on dozens of orcs, Boromir continues to fight even after being hit by several arrows. Boromir's heroic last stand was enough to draw the attention of Frodo and Sam, allowing the hobbits to escape capture.
My captain. My king.
I mean, it's Sean Bean. What are you gonna do? Anyway, do you guys have any other heroic deaths in mind? And not just Sean Bean ones, actually. Also, if you want to keep this conversation going and talk heroic deaths, catch me on Twitter at Rebecca Brayton. Or if you want to just bring up Dobby to me, which, by the way, is another heroic death from the Harry Potter franchise. Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe and watch this other video, because you'll be my hero if you do it.